There are people listening from every corner of this planet. No knowledge has been dispersed so beautifully, so balanced across the planet, on this planet ever. Maybe in the universe. You have the full potential of achieving everything in the universe. There is no need and there is no reason for man not to achieve. So, wherever you are, the way I taught you to make the coils double coil inside, you have continuous equal gravitational magnetic field, and if you put CO2 on it, and you put zinc on it, you have connected the emotion of the man to it on a stable condition, and you'll find out you become a very peaceful man. Here, instead of having galaxies and universes and creating connection magnetically, we have used the matter state gravitational magnetic field strength to dominate and dictate the shape of the plasma. The nanotechnology, the nanomaterial which you have collectively developed in different ways, by caustic, by electric currents, by whatever, fire or whatever, has that advantage that the matter, the nano and the plasma is all the same. So connection is very solid, it's very strong. The power of the plasma technology, the way we have thought, is beyond imagination of the man. Now we can create and control the plasma, which is the mother of the creation of the universe. You are given the seed of the essence of the creation. The foundation does not belong to no one and is not made of one anymore. You are developing it, you are structuring it, and from today we will be still the same. We'll still develop the technology in different names, in different colors, in different nationalities which they do not exist. It is beautiful when we see the Christian, the Muslims, the Jews, and every other belief are working together to build up systems. We have already become one faith. We already have become one nation, and we already have become one planet. You got to remember one thing. Dates is irrelevant. Today is the last day of the Christian calendar, or tomorrow is the beginning of another. One day is connected to another. We don't stop. We are working around the clock. The Keshe Foundation team is working irrespective of time, position, religion, country. And now we achieve what we set out for.
Yes, I thought we would have the second video perhaps, but I don't have that one available. So we just go into our workshop. Is that correct? Okay. All right. So welcome everyone to the 10th International Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And today, Mr. Keshe will be here with us. He'll be a little late today. So we'll start off the workshop with a question and answer and discussion session here with some of the people that have been involved with the Keshe Foundation. We have various representatives here that can answer questions from people and try to clarify anything that we can without Mr. Keshe, and we can present questions to him if necessary if we can't answer them. So what we got here today? We've got around 100 people in our participants in the Zoom meeting and a bunch on the live stream. So let's get going. Is there anybody that can start off with a comment or question to sort of orientate ourselves as far as the teaching in the last days and weeks, and what kind of questions are out there for people? So let's open it up, and I'm just going to have a look at the live stream channel here as well. And if there's any of the, in the Zoom chat, any of the viewers that would like to ask a question, you can put your hand up and be able to ask it in voice, or you can put your question in the chat as well, and we can look at it there. Our lines are open here for participation. Let me have a look in the live stream. Maybe it's too early or late for people.
Well, there's a question here from Ilya. Actually, a couple of questions in the Q&A. Have KFSSI classes started? That's the first question.
Well, classes have been ongoing for since September, basically. And also we've had the break at Christmas, and then the classes have started for this session. Can you answer that better, Vivek, as far as the future goes, and when can people start the new session with the online teachings, or can they join at any time, which is, I believe, the way it goes? Can someone clarify that for me?
Well, I was with the teaching group last week, and they were saying that the end of the semester is the middle of April. So the new classes will start right after that. I would suggest if you're gonna get started in this from scratch, to come in at the beginning. Don't try to come in at the end of the season, because you're just gonna get confused.
Well, that's a good idea, and also the rates have changed significantly for the April sign up. It'll be $100 or €100 per year as a student, as a KFSSI student, as opposed to now where it's €1,000 to sign up. And I assume it would still be the same for signing up now, even though there's only a month or so left of the teaching, let's say. So,
yeah.
okay. So
Okay,
if people want to learn, people want to join in the KFSSI teachings right now, would they have to pay that $1,000 in order to attend the next month's meeting? Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Okay, we can move on to the second question from Ilya. Is generator delta Y configuration and off-the-grid circuit blueprint available?
Okay,
Is
Vivek, can you answer that, or John?
is that part of the package that came from the Philippines lately? Yeah, as far as I know, the off-grid blueprints aren't out yet. We're still working on that.
Okay, in the meantime, we can have a look. Maybe I'll share the screen on some of the other blueprints so we have something to have a look at here with the MagGrav coil. These blueprint teaching blueprint files are actually in a blueprint format, as you can see here. I need to, I have to scroll a little bit for the live stream to be able to see the bottom there, but let me rearrange it a bit. Something like that. You can see it's a actual blueprint type document, but it also shows 3D pictures of the 3D files that are used as well, along with these for the manufacturers and so on, for people to see the better ways of connecting and so on. And so you can see there's quite a bit of detail in there, the distances between the coils and so on and so forth, as designated at that time. And okay, so sorry, is there another question there? Okay, someone says, where is this available? And that you can go to the blueprint teaching button on the main Keshe Foundation website, and from there you can go to the blueprint documents, which are stored on that site, and it's the latest zip file, and it contains this PDF, as well as let me see if we can get the other one up here. There's a couple of more. We've got MagGrav coil circuit connection for the stacker, showing the multiple connections and the coil configurations for the two flat coil configuration, which is the typical in the three stacker, what's called the three stacker coil MagGrav's power unit.
Yeah, there's a question about how the fields travel through the double coils in the health connection. If I recall correctly, the connection for the health units on the double coils are a little bit different than they are for the stacker unit. I haven't studied it. I just had a quick look at the drawing, and it definitely looks a little bit different. Maybe somebody out there has a better idea than I do.
I wonder if it was that the health units were wired in parallel as opposed to the stacker, which is in series. Is that the way it goes, perhaps?
It could be.
The stacker is in parallel? Not okay. Well, I was talking about the way the coils are hooked up, the way we see it here with this stacker, three stacker coil connection. It shows positive to negative, positive to negative. That would be in a series configuration. Okay, yes.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, when you wire the two coils together, they're slightly different in the health tree rather than the stacker. The stacker is a series connection. It goes gravitational to magnetical, or yeah, gravitational inside to gravitational outside to magnetical inside to magnetical outside. And I'm trying to recall the drawing, and I can't picture it in my head, but it definitely looked different.
Yeah, I've got a picture of the health helmet. Let me see here. What else do we have? There's another plasma battery capacitor. Here's the health unit schematic. We have a look at that. Maybe that'll help us a little bit. Just a second here. So there's the health unit. Now, yeah, these seem to be hooked up in a parallel circuit with the two bars, that positive and negative. And but as far as the plasma battery capacitor, they're individually hooked up in parallel. Right, in this case, yeah. Yeah, it even mentions down here in the notes, the magagraph coils are connected in parallel to each other. In this circumstance, they're actually able to control the different coils by the grounding or load, seawater connection here. Okay, so back to our questions.
Okay, next question is by Particle. It's about teaching again. Have the teachings been formulated for children? How long would each session be, and how often per week? Understanding that the limited time for children with normal school.
We are setting this up in this moment. We are not ready to go, but we will find a time for, let's say, early in the evening. And until now, we don't know how often we will do it. Depends already also on a little bit security control, because we don't want to have any pedophiles in.
Okay, thank you. Next question is by Brandon Powell. Can I use Gans to code my Magraph's power system?
You need at least two different Ganses to make a potential. Let's say copper oxide and CO2.
Okay.
If I understood correctly, Ali's using Gans in his system. I wonder if he could come in and let us know if he's using just the Gans or if he's got a combination.
Right. We're trying to create a differential there, a gradient, is the way I understand it. If the gradient's there, then that's probably a good thing. But will we have the gradient with just the C-GANs, or will it be more of a mixture? And would you have to use the C-GANs with some other layering to create more of a gradient between the two things? What do you say, Ali, there?
Yeah, I mean, majority of my systems are C-GANs, and it's really pleasant to be in it. It's kind of like you feel like you're close to the ocean. In terms of gradients, yes, there's like I use different kind of metals, like maybe copper a bit, um, different type of plates, some with zinc, some with copper, to get different gradients of it. Um, Maybe we can use, for the health, it can be used, but for some other applications, the pure ones are recommended. For example, if you're looking at a flight system or stuff like that, it has to be as pure as possible.
Okay, thank you, Ali. In fact, the next question I hope to answer.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, next question. I think Ali, you can answer this one from earlier. For the flight system, how are the inner coils connected to batteries and outer coils connected to the batteries?
Um, the way I connected them was similar to the car unit, where you basically connect the pluses to the plus and minus to the minus. Um, there's also some. It's important how you connect the inner and outer coils. One of the things that is important is the coating with these, because you got to create this hydrogen ionization reaction within the coils. So you got to first coat the coils. Remember, if you are doing the 6 and the 12 one, you got to um, coat the inner coils with CO2, and once you basically all the coils with CO2 first, then coat them with CH3, and it has to be as pure as possible. There's two rings in the middle, and those has to be made with coated with amino acids to support the body within the system, or allow the body to be in the system. Um, and the connections, I think we have to draw it as a like similar to the ones that we have right now, the schematics, because it's really hard to just go over it over the voice. People might get confused, so I think we'll coordinate to have those drawn properly.
Okay, thank you, Ali. Next question is from Gatwa. How about the expected changes to the 3-year program to make it into a 1-year program?
That would be for Stanley, I believe. He's yeah.
Yes, we will merge the teachings in the future to 1-year teachings.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
that'll be starting in April. Is that true?
Well, I think the Italian teaching started already this month, but well, we have to look for enough teachers and enough students in the different languages. So the English lessons for sure will start in April again.
Okay, thank you.
When you do the application form, that it gives you the ability to type in what language you would like to be taught in. So there you can make your selection of which language that you would best understand in. And when we do have languages available for what you choose, then we can send out a notification that that language is available, and we will be starting classes. That's the way I see it going forward into the future, until we have a full setup structure in the different languages where you can choose them at will.
Okay, I'd like to insert a I was going to insert a quick question from the live stream here. It's from John Wells, who says, Rick, what are the ways to nano-coat plastic supports and/or containers for the coils? I think some people have had experience with nano-coating plastic, and usually it's a caustic process. Anybody have any additional
Hi, Rick.
or input?
Yeah, you could use cold caustic. What I found with these plastic is that if you use hot caustic, it's going to deform the plastic. So the best thing is either spray them with caustic. You got to be also be careful what kind of plastic you use. Some of them react chemically and create dangerous hazardous gases. So make sure to do it outdoors, and you can simply use cold caustic on them.
And do you use like distilled water or something to wipe it off later, or how do you just leave it on like that?
Depends on what the application is. Yes, you can, wipe it off later, maybe in a day or two. If you are looking for, if you don't want that reaction to be there, the caustic reaction, or you can leave it if it's not uh, important, so it's up to what application you use it for.
Yeah, it seems like a light application of the caustic for a short period of time seems to be enough to create that surface in that case.
Yes.
All right. I'll carry on then with Vivek. If you want to carry on with asking the questions on the list there, that would be great.
Okay, we have a question here from James. Presumption: matter and plasmatic states are interchangeable. So if the intent is the driving denominator, whether one would wish to manifest in physical state that is non-transparent or not. I ask this question to dispel the idea that spiritual souls are getting harvested as is being proposed on the internet by disinformation agents. This is a bit of a deep question here. Yeah.
Perhaps we should ponder it a bit or re-ask it. It is deep, and maybe we need to get a better understanding what the question actually is saying here. It says, so he mentions matter and plasmatic states are interchangeable. Okay, is that a correct presumption to start with? Are they interchangeable?
Well, that's basically the idea that matter is plasma. It's just a very weak state.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
one of the things I experience is that what you're talking about souls and stuff like that. The soul frequency has a different frequency that is not reachable by matter state or even the plasma state, because the soul energy is very pure and it's such a high frequency. So it's like you're looking at a different wave frequency. So it's not even reachable to it. So if you're pure in yourself and in your soul, uh, you can, of course, interact with it through your physicality or through your plasmatic state of your body, but soul is completely operate at a different frequency, and that's where the soul of the creator is, and we're all connected to that. So
And it's probably not really concerned with this concept that spiritual souls are getting harvested. It wouldn't even be a concept that would come up in that state, likely.
It's not even possible. Yeah.
You are one being in that state, so how could you harvest yourself in a way?
There might be some confusion about the terms. As far as I know, harvested is meant as ascension, and ascension it's not meant for a soul to ascend, but a human being. So when there's talk about the harvest, and it meant the ascension of human beings.
That's an interesting point there. Is it the human that evolves, or is it the soul that learns in the experience, you might say? And what is it that, and this ties back into the spaceship and the idea of going to space without a spaceship, that's of the physicality and so on. So
Well, even going to space, like, because we are still talking 3D dimension, it has its limitations. So it's not ascension or anything, or even what is ascension, going maybe to a higher dimension, and there is also limitation there. So where there is no limitation is at the frequency of soul and the soul connection to the creator. So that's where the only freedom is, and it's right now, right here, beyond time and space. So like, you can experience freedom right now within yourself, beyond all the game that is played outside of ourselves. So there's always a place to go, and there's something to explore. It's like a journey in the outer world, but it's all part of the I would say matrix of illusion that we live in, and it's either 3D dimension, fourth dimension, and it goes up and up and up and up, but it's still part of the structure of the creation. And the soul frequency is much higher than all of that, because it's beyond time, space, dimension, and they can't really touch each other, no matter what other people say. And if you're centered in your soul and yourself, nothing can touch you. You're eternal. You're beyond time, space, and anything else.
thank you, Ali. That was a good way to put it, I think. Everybody will have a little slightly different viewpoint on that, of course, but that's part of the world of illusion that we live in. Okay, have we answered that adequately? Is there anyone else that would like to weigh in on that? This idea that spiritual souls are getting harvested. It's a big concept it does come up on the internet, and some people get very excited about that in positive and negative ways. So I think it's a little hard for us to even talk about it in a way, because when we talk about it, we're starting to use words which have a lot of connotations and different meanings and so on. It gets into a question of defining meanings and trying to come to common understandings and that kind of thing. Okay, shall we carry on then?
Okay, next question by Mariel Flanagan. Amino acids of what to coat the inner ring of the flight system?
Well, another big question here. Okay, who can answer that one with Kennedy? So I believe we're able to use amino acids that are collected on the from the creation of the CO2 Gans and other Ganses in their systems, and use that to coat the inner ring of the flight system. Is that correct? Can anybody help me with that? And the similarity is of the same batch, you might say, so it would be part of what went into it in that environment. The CO2 Gans would have the same amino acid connection. Yeah, connection. Yeah, yeah. And if it's a burning question, we could put that through to Mr. Keshe if there needs to be a more correct answer.
Sorry, guys, I was answering a question in text. I'd missed the question altogether.
The question is what amino acids to coat the inner ring of the flight system?
If I remember correctly, it's simply the amino acids that are generated on the CO2 system. They're like an open broadband amino acid that allows the system to interface with physical life.
Okay, next question is from Eric Lee. How do we control the health helmet unit to give magnetic power and gravitational power? Is there any instruction?
Okay, I'll get a picture of the health helmet up for us here.
There was some discussion on the Austrian group about that, and it's how you wire it together, whether you wire it with a magnetical bias or a gravitational bias for each coil. You can set it up so that one side is gravitational, one side is magnetic, so it actually draws the plasma through from one side to the other. You can set it up so that each coil, like only one coil is active. It depends on how you want to wire it. Yeah, it depends on whether you want to add energy or you want to withdraw energy from the system. What was discussed specifically about a lady with a brain tumor was they want to withdraw the energy and drop it into the sink. So that area that the coil would be, where the tumor is, would be a gravitational bias, and the other side of the helmet would be a magnetical bias. Precisely. And on a little bit farther note, but a little simpler system, Vivek has come up with a 3-coil health pen that does very much the same thing.
Yeah, it was actually very interesting because when I applied that to my mom's knee, not only did she feel the energy going in and swirling around like another health pen, but she also felt that energy being sucked out of her knee. So whatever was needed was being given, and then whatever was not needed was being removed. So that was actually very interesting, which has led me now to create a pen with 4 coils to see what the difference is going to be like. They're being nano-coated as we speak, so that should come online in another day or 2.
I've got an example of the 2-coil double core plasma pen. Do you have a picture of your 3-core by any chance? I know you had one at one point. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I got the wrong share. I've got it up on live stream, but not in the, here it is.
Yeah, I've got a photo of one I built last night. I can bring it up.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, John, yours looks much better than mine. Go ahead.
Okay, we can see John's picture there of the triple core coil pin. Anything else you want to say about that, John?
Yeah, I had to dig around in the back of the window to get to my mixer. The center stylus.
There's a window blocking the picture there.
Yes, I know. I gotta. There we go. Okay.
Okay,
The
thank you.
center stylus is it comprises not only the straight pin but also the inside core. So the center stylus is bent back on itself and then wound around. This one, if I remember, is 18 turns on all three coils. I've also got one that's 36. I want to test the two and see what sort of difference that's going to create. And the two outer coils fit. I used exactly the same mandrels that I used for my MagGrav coils. So it's a 5.8 millimeter and a 3/8 inch dowling that I wind the coils around. And they are simply connected at each end. They're just wrapped around the center pin at each end, just like the two coil system is. And on where my thumb is on the bottom of the picture, the end of each of the two outer coils is looped back and pointed back down into the center of the system, so that any energy coming out that end gets directed back out. Very, very simple. It's sort of a hybrid between the Canon and the original Health Pen, so it's not a difficult thing to make at all.
Yeah, and thank you to Renan for explaining the phenomenon to me when I asked him on chat. He was the one who helped me to understand that with a 3-coil system, the inner 2 coils become gravitational and the outer becomes magnetical. So this pen system is more gravitationally biased. By putting a 4th coil on there, the whole thing becomes both magnetical and gravitational balanced.
You would use this where you want to primarily remove energy from a system. The typical health pen, you're going to be adding energy to a system. In the case of a wound or something like that, where it requires more energy to heal or to correct itself. With this system, this would be removing something that's not supposed to be there, or that's the theory.
Yeah, so you could think of like maybe an abscess or a very large pimple on your belt line or under your arm, or some other growth somewhere else, or maybe it might be due to excess water retention in the joints that you need to remove some of that water that's being retained over there. These may be examples of where you can use something like this.
Yeah, we're just.
Exactly, that's right.
So this kind of a next gen health pen, new idea that we're trying out, and so far the people that have tested this, they're getting really nice results, totally expected results. That one, it's in a bag right now being coated. The 36 coil looks like it's just about done, and my 9 coil looks like it's just about done too. So I should be able to be putting. Yes, cold caustic in a baggie, and if you get it when the copper is really fresh, don't leave it sit out overnight. But as soon as you finish winding it, clean it, dip it in your caustic solution, give it a good shake, and then throw it in a baggie. The coating is fantastic, but it's got to be super clean copper. And I should be able to test these very shortly. I found a lady here just up the road from me who's a She does qigong and energy work. So I'm going to hand her a couple of these and see if she wants to put them through their paces. I haven't yet. I want to, if I do make adjustments to these systems, I want to make each adjustment one thing at a time, very slow, very methodical, to make sure that I can record what difference it is. If you put in two things and you get four different results, you have no idea what caused what. So I want to advance with this as methodically as I can. Yeah. Yeah, and the systems we've had testing in the Philippines with Vivek, the qigong practitioner that's been working with us. As soon as he picked the thing up, he could feel instantly how powerful this thing was, and I think one of the first things that came out of his mouth was, "This is really going to help me with my work." He's able to see the fields. He can manipulate the color or the frequency of the fields at will. We're getting really, really good results from these people.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the qigong practitioners is that they move qi or prana or magrav's plasma through the body system to where it's needed, and they use that not just for healing work but also for activating chakras and opening chakras and so on and so forth. So we found that the qigong practitioners mentioned that they could even use the 3-coil pen to do exactly that, to move the qi and to open the chakras. So the thing is that although it is gravitationally biased, it's not there just to take. It'll give what it's needed as well. And if it's held there for long enough, then it takes, which is kind of borne out by my mother's own experience, because first she felt the energy going into her leg, and that went on for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and then the energy started coming back up her leg and getting sucked out of the knee where the pen was placed. So this week I'm going to be handing them a health pen with 4 coils, and I'm going to ask them to get a good feel of that and then do a compare and contrast with the 3-coil pen. So let's see how that goes.
Okay, everybody's got the screen cap of that in case they want to make their own.
So, Vivek, the inner coil is the inner one. Is it just a simple copper wire, or you got to coil all 3 of them?
Well, the inner one is, do you see the central stylus that's running up and down the pen? It's the central stylus which coils back onto itself and comes back out. So if you see the top of the picture where John is holding the output of the pen, it comes out as 2 prongs. But that is the same piece of wire which goes up, curves back, coils back onto itself, and then comes out again. And then you add I don't have annotate function, unfortunately. Linux hasn't gone that far yet. I've just gotten Q&A, but no annotate function just yet.
I can show a little bit different one that I was looking at yesterday that I just sort of popped out of my head, and I put it together. It's slightly different, but it'll explain explain what we're talking about a little easier. Let me move that window and get to my camera. Turn the light on. You can't start your video because the host says stopped it. Okay.
Well, if you'd like, I could actually show the picture of just the inner core first.
Okay, if you look, the central stylus on this one, I've twisted both wires together tightly instead of having a straight wire with a coil twisted around it. But that's essentially what we're talking about is the central stylus.
Yeah, we can see that. That's good.
Yeah, it is a little blurry. Oh, there we go. That's a little clear. There, click. Gotta like it when it works. The one I have in the picture that I showed earlier, one half of the central stylus is a straight pin, and the other was a coil wrapped around it. This one is as you can see, both are wrapped as a spiral, but it's basically the same idea. And this one only has a single coil on it. This is more art than function, I think. It was just something I was working on last night. But it gives you sort of the idea that we're talking about. If you were to add a second coil on top of this, then you would have essentially what I showed in the screenshot. 9. There's 9 twists on the center core, and I didn't count I didn't count these parts here. So I don't know. This is, like I said, this is probably just a piece of art. Right. Yeah, I have no I can't even predict what that's going to do. Yep.
Thank you, John.
Turn it back on.
Hi everyone.
Okay.
Okay, I could show the way I did mine. I'll just do a very quick screen share so you can get an idea of how I did it. Okay, if you can see that. So this is one piece of wire that you're seeing over here. So it goes up, curves back onto itself, and then coils around itself, and then comes out again as a second leg. And then you add the other 2 coils on top of that, and it becomes like that. That's the 3 coil setup. For the 4th coil setup, you just add a 4th coil right on top of that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Whenever I was making my house pens, when I put the coils on, I always had the next outside coil wrapped around the pin beyond where the inner coil wraps on. So if you were to each successive outer coil is going to be stretched a little bit longer than the other ones. I know some people just wrap the wraps right over top of one another, but my reasoning was to put that energy that the coil is collecting directly into the center pin. So I wanted each coil connected to the center pin, not wrapped onto the coil that's just below it. Does that make sense to everybody?
It makes sense, but the other thing that I was thinking of is also about field interaction, whether, because of field interaction, whether that would be absolutely crucial. Because I did what you did not do. I mean, I wrapped around what you just saw. I wrapped it around where the previous coils were wrapped around on the stylus, and it's still working very, very strong. Now, whether it works stronger if I wrap it the way that you did, I do not know yet. I need to do it and find out.
Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
This is Miguel Moreno from Mexico City. I want to share some information from devices, the plasma devices. I made a plasma device, but right now I put energy to see the behavior. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, this one,
You see a Facebook page?
yeah, this one is the plasma device. I put the device in transparent way, and this is the live wire. This one, and the energy is going to this side, and inside of the device, I put the CO2 and the tomatina and a little bit of caustic soda, the liquid that I got from the nano-coating to increase the energy from the copper. And I put also um, bicarbonato. So somebody can help me to because I can remember how do you say bicarbonato in English?
Well,
Are
Anybody?
you speaking of the rings that are around the outside?
No, the rings outside they are magnets. These
Oh,
magnets
okay. Yeah.
inside there is coils. I have a one that represent the gravity, and the external represent the magnet plasma. So that is the reason because I put just outside magnets. And let me show you another photograph. So right here, you can see I have a light to, to close the circuit. In that way, the electrons are going inside of the coils because this the inner coil that I have over here, like I said, workshops before, I have a coil that is nano coated, and in this part, in this section, I put a nano coated tube to make contact from the inside core to the outside coil. So I made this coil also. This coil have a like uh, um, I can like a layer that is protecting the copper. In that way, we can manipulate better because this is a live wire. So uh, we need if somebody is wants to do this testing, they need to be very careful because if you got something with a negative electricity, you have a you're gonna have a problem. So this section connect to the outside section. So right here is having contact to the external coil, but in the center from this section also I put a pin quartz, and in this section I put also quartz, pin quartz also. So this is the first time that I put it in this way. So I'm gonna be doing some testing, but I have several testimonials with a paint pen. I'm gonna record a person that have the experience. He got shot and he got very good results with the paint pen. After 15 years, he's just you're gonna see the guy. I'm gonna get an interview with him probably today. Is really uh, unbelievable the result that he got because he was almost dying. And you're gonna see his testimonial. I'm gonna do it in Spanish and in English today in the afternoon. I want to share also the zero time transportation cube. I have it working uh, Uh, can I share the camera?
Miguel, before you go on, can we go back to that first picture again, please?
Yeah, sure, sure. Hold on. Just the computer is getting slow when I have the. Hold on.
Well,
Just be
I don't
patient.
want to discourage you, but one thing that came up really early, this came up several years ago, when Rick was doing one of his plasma experiments. And Mr. Keshe mentioned that using rig magnets, putting the rig magnets around the plasma conduits, whether it's a piece of pipe or a coil like this, the ring magnet actually blocks the plasma. So you
Really?
may discover you're going to have issues with your field interactions with this system.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it in mind. This is important.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good point, John, and that was an item that came up, like you say, years ago when I was experimenting with the vacuum system and vacuum pumps and so on. I had clear reinforced plastic lines going to these vacuum pumps, and I was experimenting with a vacuum chamber with a plasma inside, and the plasma was going down the tube right to 2 or 3 or about a meter or so down the tube toward the vacuum pump. And Mr. Keshe mentioned that that wasn't good for the vacuum pump to have the plasma going down to it for a number of different reasons. And he suggested putting a ring magnet on the around the hose, around the plastic tube, to prevent the plasma from going through. I did try that, and especially if it's a powerful ring magnet, it makes quite a difference. It will choke off the plasma. If it's not a really powerful magnet, it more sort of pinches the plasma rather than cutting it off. So in a way, those magnets might, if they're the right power, they could control the plasma in much the same way as the outer coil would of a coil setup. It would sort of keep the plasma inside of the round ring magnets. It depends, for example, how tight the ring magnet is to the pipe. Because if the tubing is a loose fit with the magnet, then it won't be as effective as a tight fit. And if it's a strong neodymium magnet, it would be a much more
Actually, I
pronounced
put
effect than the other ones. Go ahead.
yeah, actually I put two different sizes of magnets. So, because this idea came to my mind because the tokamak device has magnets. So just it's an idea.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm gonna be working on it, but I'm gonna keep that in mind that the
Mhm.
magnet device could be just cancel the plasma power. Then
Because
mm,
it, mhm. they, they might
Yeah.
resonate with each other or something like that in a particular frequency or particular.
Yeah. Also, if you're cascading your plasma collection systems one after the other, you may wind up with one section that's extremely powerful. And like I said, you may get some very strange results with that setup.
yeah, the fuel time transportation tube I made it. This is the this is the first testing that I am doing. I'm gonna do some more improvements because I want to have the chance to move the coils to forward to the back to see the plasma behavior. So I put this plasma lamp in the top, but maybe before I'm gonna put it inside, I'm gonna send to make another cube because this one is a solid, so I can put just bigger things that from this side, from here. But right now I'm gonna send to do another one with this part that you can. We're gonna be able to move this part, so I'm gonna put something bigger inside. I have a different plasma lamps, so I'm gonna put it inside to see what is the behavior with the plasma and the coils. I put 6 different coils, and when I put a heater also, but when I am putting this heater, the coils they are getting very hot. That is normal, guys. But if I put like 4 different
How,
different electric things, I don't have any problem. I can use my computer. I can use an stereo. I can use a fan, etc.,
how big
etc.
of a heater is it, Miguel?
Say it
How
again.
much power from the heater are you drawing? Is it like
Uh,
1500 watts or something like that?
I don't have I don't have the information for that. Uh, Let me check it out. I have the heater close to me. Hold on a second.
Like some heat is allowable in the coils, but it shouldn't heat up more than what is the temperature? 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that what I understand? Or John,
Uh,
you have the
six,
specs.
60 degrees C. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit right off the bat, but if it gets warm to the touch, it's not a big deal. But if it's uncomfortably warm, I would back down your load a little bit.
Sorry, I don't have that information, but
Right. Is
it
there
taking much light because when I put the heater, all the lights in the bulbs goes a little bit down.
yeah,
So that
yeah, that's probably indicating a bit too much of a load for the unit. Maybe it could handle it later when it's a better
yeah,
condition or something like that.
I wanted to left it because I'm gonna show you a little bit later how it's inside of the cube because I have a crystal half spiral crystal to hold in the coils. So I wanted to do some proofs to see if they can support the heat, the hot. But this cable got getting hot, very hot. So I put a fan, and with the fan, I didn't have any problem later because the air was helpful. So all the coils they got just warm.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you inside how it looks inside the cube. Hold on. I'm gonna show you this one because I am spending a lot of hours. I having fun uh, with this experience because I spent several days trying to understand how the capacitors works. So I made a different kind of capacitors with one nucleo inside, and I put a coil outside, and the third coil was just the negative way. But in the inner coil, I put the Gans, but I put also I can remember vinegar, and let me check it out. Oxide, calcium oxide also. and the capacitors, they are very powerful. So I just put one because I was trying to put more than one. The just I was getting sparks, and so the energy was very high because I put inside of the nucleus uh, a plasma mm, uh, paper, cooking paper with the Gans, and I put the calcium oxide and the vinegar, and just the the results. I got a very high energy. So just I put just for now just one capacitor. Let me check it out because can I share the camera? Maybe that way can I show you better the cube because I have
You have to stop the screen sharing and activate your camera.
okay. So let me check it out. Okay.
On the top of the, yeah.
So, mm, share. Yeah, right. This one. Okay, so right now just because appear just share a screen again, so you just I need to press the X and that's it. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the cube. That is the cube. I'm gonna show you the inside.
You have to hold the camera very steady or we won't be able to see anything. It's just a blurry mess.
So I okay. So I put also the inner coil in different position to try to get the plasma flow in a circle way from the four coils inside. That is one of the coils. That is another one. And this one that you see the crystal is another one. You can see that one. And that one is the fourth one. So those one are just in front of each of them. And I have another one in the top. And that line that you see is another core, the inner core, but I put it in different way. And I'm gonna show you the bottom one. In the bottom one, I put a quartz, white quartz, but that is another. Right there is the another coil. So my my home was having problems because it was very cold. After that, I put the cube. Just we are having a different environment. It's warmer, and too much things are changing because I am very sure that all the teaching that Mr. Keshe said that the coils, the plasma is a intelligent energy. Just everything is changing in my home, my mind, the way that I eat, the way that I rest, because sometimes just I need to rest 3 hours and that's it. I can just be working uh, and I have too much energy. I can't just be without eating maybe until 6 p.m. and I am not hungry. Yes, I am eating because I want to eat because that is one of the very big problems that humanity gonna have to left the food, to eat the food, but just we are in the process to evolve. So in the center, you're gonna see a half sphere also. I put in the half sphere um, the sub Gans. I'm gonna show you the way that is. So in this way, it's in the center, and it's just to giving the energy. But I also put the white quartz. So this one is just the small scale that I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make a bigger one, but I want to check out the results, and I want to just I am getting the experience to see what way I gonna improve the device to do the zero time transportation uh, cube, because I need to make another one, and I am working right now to see how gonna be the connection and how we can just to just to have the record for the results. Right there is the capacitor. Let me check it out. Okay. Right there is the capacitor. It's very powerful because I was telling you that just I put three of them and they were making sparks or something like that. Yes, I am lucky that the light in my home is still good. So I'm gonna show you the capacitor over here. Oh, right here is the device that I was showing you a few moments ago, because I left it all the night to see what is the behavior inside, and I'm very sure that we can use this kind of this kind of way, because if we have the liquid CO2 in the coils, and we can put another chemical compound that we need to use, I am very sure that with electrons gonna be more useful. And you can see you can move the inner coil, you can move it. Let me move the light. So you can move the inner coil, but this is still connected to the outside. And right here I have the capacitors. Hold on. Okay. So right here is the capacitor. This is this one is the core. Oh, I'm having problem to get focus. Okay. This one let me put it over here. Okay, right there. This one is the core. You can see the core. So inside is a paper, cooking paper with Gans, and the I can remember the oxidum. Uh, I, I can remember the other element that I told you a little bit later. I gonna show you. So in the center you can see is I put the Gans also, the soup of Gans, and in the external is the coil. So after this one, I put another kind of paper. Hold on. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I put another kind of paper outside with the same solution, and all the stuff is the nano-coating copper. So, but in the first one, in the smaller one, I made it with fire first, but after that I put caustic soda and hydroxide of potassium, and I put also zinc in the solution, and they got a very higher readings from the electricity, maybe 2000 more than the regular way that I was doing it before. And the nano-coated copper that I use over here, I spent 3 months doing it, because like Mr. Keshe said, that we to have an excellent result, we need to be patient. So I am doing that. I don't have any hurry to have the results. So I am just having the patient to the to have the better results. And let me show you another. This is another device that I was testing too. This one, one night before. So it's the same way. The structure is the same that the other one that I told you. And I just made this one because I am giving workshops over here in Mexico. So in this one, I am having the way that the plasma works. In that way, the guys that I am sharing the experience, they can see that the plasma inside is gravitational and the plasma outside is magnetic power, but between them they are plasma around the coils. Actually, that is one more thing I'm gonna show you. This one are Gans. Let me check it out. We can have better focus. Okay. So sometimes some people they are talking about the Orbus. I want to show that the difference. This is Orbus and has different aspects from the Gans. So some people they are getting confused because they are getting confused because they are thinking just because the Orbus you can make it with caustic soda. Some people that are getting confused that the Orbus is the Gans, but it has a different color. You can see it's solid, the white color of the Gans. So I have this this one. I like this color because remember me the plasma color because the plasma is looks like that. I put the liquid that I got uh, from the nano-coating because I am using the sosa caustica and the hydroxide of potassium. And I put a little bit of that liquid to see the behavior, but I put also a very small piece of fish, salt water, and I got this result. The Gans is now in the bottom, is now in the top. I know that the Ormus got that process, but this one is a different behavior that I have the Ormus. That is the reason because I made the Ormus also to see the difference. Let me, you can see the difference right there. The left is the Ormus and the right is the Gans. So it's just different aspect. And I'm very sure that it's just different the way that that both liquids are working. So right now I gonna start doing because I have this kind of crystal containers to start working with the food. So I gonna put different different vegetables and different food, different seeds, and I gonna put a small a small coil, copper coil inside of the container to just to start just breeding the Gans because I know that the Gans is invisible. We can see it, but it's there. So, but it's very important to check out the pH because so I am having this kind of paper to check out the pH before to have it in that way because if the pH is high, uh, just to be careful, no. So I gonna use the Gans with the standard pH that we can use. Do you have any question or any comment?
So on the pH you were talking about there, you use the pH strip to determine the pH of your liquid,
It's correct.
right? And do you change that with putting more distilled water in or diluting it somehow?
Yeah, because if you are using the caustic soda, the pH is very high. So if you want to decrease the pH, so I am doing washing with the with that solution that you said before, that is still water.
Distilled water, yeah. Um, Normally it's recommended that you wash 3 or 4 times with distilled water to get
Yeah.
as much of this caustic out as
Yeah, I
possible.
think that the green color is the, the number 7. I think that is okay to use it. The because I gonna buy another. I gonna buy uh, the thing that reads
The detector
the
pen, like,
digital. Yeah, that one. But I am just looking for it. But right now, just I am using this one for the moment.
yeah, you can get the fairly inexpensive pH pens from the internet. Yes, I've
Yeah.
gotten one recently.
So in this design, I gonna put uh, different materials and different chemical compounds in the sphere and in the bottom and this one to see the results, how the energy is working. because this one is a solid one, but I'm gonna put a hole in the top to put different liquids. So I am thinking that maybe in the because I am very sure that the gonna have several functions, several functions. We can use it to get health. We can use it to decrease the energy that the earth gonna liberate with the earthquakes. Just if we put a copper bar in the bottom, and we can put just a geometry structure to get the energy that is the earth liberating. My souls tell me that we can use this intelligent energy to help to help just with the evolution that the planet is taking. What do you think about it?
Anybody like to comment on on Miguel's setup there?
Good afternoon. Sorry I'm late today, but I've just joined you. Um,
Hi, Mr. Keshe.
Hi, good afternoon. Good day to you.
Hi, Mr. Keshe.
We had some problem in respect to connection. Can you explain to me very quickly what have you done with the ball? I do apologize that I wasn't there to hear it.
I was sharing that I'm gonna use this structure to mix different liquids or chemical compounds to mix the energy between them. So right now, hold on.
What are you using these gases for?
For the zero-time transportation cube, I was showing the zero-time transportation cube a few moments ago.
Can you show it to me what it is you're making?
Yeah. This one is already working. And like I said before, and in the top, I have a plasma lamp that later I'm gonna put it inside a small one to see the plasma behavior. And I'm gonna show you inside of the cube to see the coils.
There's a stacker coil.
6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
That is in the top. On the inner coil, I put it in that position to see the behavior of the plasma.
Mm-hmm.
Right there we have the another coil from each side. Right there is another one. This crystal has another coil also. And right there is another coil. And
what is on the top under your laser? The things on the top where you show the plasma ball on the top that you are sitting on top of, are they coils or what's in those? What
that
are
one?
in those? What are
Yeah,
those
that
black
one is
material?
just a lamp that I put. It's connected. It's connected over here.
Yeah, but what is the black things inside your jars, inside the containers?
The black thing is just rocks, black rocks, because I'm gonna put also coils over there, So the black rock gonna be like because I am doing some testing and the coils they are getting.
What is the purpose of this exercise? What are you trying to do?
Has several function or several goals that I gonna make. The first one is the zero time transportation. I gonna move the coils in different position. I gonna send to have the chance to move the coils closer, further back inside of the cube to see the plasma behavior. Like I was telling to the guys a few moments ago that when I put a heater, the coils they got very hot. I'm gonna show you the bottom part. And I was telling to the team also that we in the home we have a problem because it was very cold, and now it's warm with all the energy, the plasma energy that the cube is liberating, and the devices that you put to charge, they got charged faster than before. And I put also quartz, the quartz that goes there to see the energy behavior. But when I was nano-coating, I put the quartz in the nano-coating copper, and the quartz gas and the quartz was giving reading from energy also, like the copper. And I was telling to the team also that I just once I put one capacitor because I made a different kind. Right there is the capacitor, but it's in 3 sections. But it's very powerful because see, I was just putting 3. The capacitors was giving sparks and was getting hot, very, very hot. So with one just for now, I am doing this testing to check out how it's working. And I'm gonna make also another cube to have the connection with we trim the cubes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. In what you were showing about the Gans and other things, I informed the Keshe Foundation groups, most of the people who are in different sections. As today is a public teaching, we would like to advise you, and this is a very important for every single one of you, if you have access to any internet, any kind of Facebook, YouTube, Twitters, or whatever. On Thursday, the Keshe Foundation will disclose a very important development. This development, more or less, will touch every single human being, if you're a Keshe Foundation supporter or not. We will disclose information which will affect literally every person. Millions of people die because of certain conditions every year, and this can be prevented. We have tests which is done by governments, which has come and is in the position of the Keshe Foundation, which validates the correction of the Keshe Foundation technology in plasma technology. It might create huge problem for a number of nations. But in totality, it's to the benefit of mankind. It's a positive move. It's a drastically positive move. But it's the information which we have. We received it in writing. It's the confirmation of the work we've done before, and on Thursday we will disclose it. The reason we ask as many people as possible to be access to, if we got access to any newspapers, any broadcastings, any internet radios, send a copy of the broadcast on Thursday to them, and then at the same time inform as many people as to be able to listen and link up to your Facebooks and whatever you do. It is a fundamental disclosure on behalf of what we have said and what we've done before. And with this disclosure, we'll change a lot of things. I'm sure a number of large companies, international companies, we will see a huge movement by them to join the foundation on this work. It is a fundamental international importance for all of us. Every single human being will be affected by what we'll disclose on Thursday. There's a number of disclosures will be made on Thursday, but this is very important, fundamental, and we will explain exactly how and the way it is and what has been done. I do apologize not being available due to the, we were waiting for the internet connection today. But Thursday hopefully will be online on time. And we will extend it to a very large way by large measure in respect to the work of the foundation in the past. If you are a scientist, if you are a doctor, if you are an alternative medicine man, if you are a man who is concerned and works within the health environment, inform as many people who are involved to be present on Thursday. World Health Organization has worked very hard in conjunction with a number of countries, governments, to block this discovery. And now we release fundamental research which will bring, we see the resignation of a number of prime ministers and presidents online of this disclosure. In fact, it should have not been gone this way, but it be disclosed, and the head of nations who have obstructed the disclosure is their decision and their public. We inform you, if you live in China, especially American citizens, Canadian citizens, South American citizens, Chinese and Japanese citizens. All of you who've been affected and infected by Fukushima, by radiation, you'll be interested in the disclosure of Thursday morning. All of you who live near a nuclear power station will be interested in the disclosure. This is governmental disclosure, is not a private research. It is important that every single one of us and as many people will have this knowledge in and during an emergency. We have predicted earthquake in west coast of United States, but there are a number of nuclear power stations. Make sure as many people get to know about Thursday disclosure. It is important for a lot of the work which Keshe Foundation has done that we disclose this. We've been in possession of this information for some times, but we needed a confirmation, and we have received a confirmation in black and white. This is one of the most important disclosures for humanity, even more important than the power unit, the lift, or the feeding system. There is an important position in respect to the feeding system, which we've seen being going on. A number of people are trying it, and a number of people have gone on the use of the system. And as we said in the teachings of last week and in the private teachings in the past couple of days, a lot of you go to the system to be fed or to receive. And we explained to you last time how many of you are going to give to the system that it allows you to give, that you can receive what you need and whatever you might need. But the fundamental point, which we have disclosed in teachings in the past few days, is that a lot of you most probably have not realized is that if the system can give and the system can receive on the full level, on the energy level, on the what I call consciousness level, on the emotional level, why don't you use it for communication? Where through it you can create instantaneous communication. The way you instantaneously receive the energy, you can create instantaneous information transfer. These are important for most of what is about to come, and in the coming time we will disclose more and more of these kind of applications of the system. Application of what you can do and what you can receive. In teaching, or in part of the work we were doing yesterday, I was present for a very short time. This is what I explained, that how you know and how we know what we receive from these systems and how these systems work, and how we can measure and how understand that we have already been working and using these kind of technologies for a long, long time. In the discussion which as we've done for past 2 years or whatever, we always, whatever we teach in private, we bring it into public teaching, that it can be added. It's not exclusive to people who've been present. A lot of you, we were discussing last night, was that you say, I was thinking about someone before the telephone rang. I was just thinking about you when you called. This is the wrong way to look at the information. Let's look at it the right way to look at the information. We always have done this. We always have communicated, transferred, and translated information from one to another. We've done it for thousands of years, for millions of years. But now, we're looking at the mobile phone or telephone the wrong way, because now we receive a digital format of our thought because of the number has been dialed to confirm that our emotional transfer has always been there. Now for the first time we have received, we are in possession of a machine, millions of billions of us, that confirms that we have already been in position of faster mechanism of communication, energy transfer, that we have ignored. not ignored. We could never confirm the possibilities and the form of work of it. What this means is that when you say, oh, I was just thinking about you just before you called me, it's very strange. How come? We've done this for millions of years. We've done this for millions of years. We feel each other's emotion. We feel each other information in such a rapid way that now with the development of the new technology we call mobile phone, we are confirming it. So let's use this knowledge. Now we have the confirmation of it through a mobile system, and we have received the confirmation of the food through the stacker unit or through the star formation. So if we manage to receive information of the emotion of somebody thinking about it to call us, and then we receive the mobile number afterwards ringing, put the mobile phone aside. Using the star formation, the feeling system, you can do transfer of your thought and the emotion much faster to a recipient or to a location. The way you want to receive, the way you want to give. The difference is, as we said, in time when we develop the structure that we have no digestion system, we have no need for digestion system, we have no need for breathing system, then most of this energy will go into intuition, in understanding the environment without the need for looking for a food. At the moment, we look for food. We go, we've done for millions of years, we travel from one point to another to have new pastures, to be able to have food that we could sustain. We could have water that we could sustain life. And now, with this technology, and with transferring into the energy plasma condition, we look for new pastures of energy, where we cannot harm no one, we cannot destroy life. So, in this process, communication, understanding, we can extend this. The way we thought of an orange, and we received an orange, the taste and the energy of it, we gave the energy of an orange for somebody else who might need it. Now, add to the knowledge and extend the knowledge. Extend the understanding. Start using the tools of the present communication with the star formation to teach, evaluate, and develop the knowledge of communication. Where up to now you received it, I just felt, I was thinking about you called me. Now test each other with the systems, what you were thinking. Precisely what you were going to tell me. Not only you were going to call me, but what you were going to tell me. What was the purpose of the call? The emotion behind it. I missed you, I wanted to call you. You say, write it down. You missed me, that's why you called me. And then you can say, what was the feeling? Was that because you missed me, you called me? Or you called me for not to forget the water when I come home tomorrow or tonight? Now that we understand, this knowledge has been with us, we have the confirmation of it, we have the whole structure of it, why don't we build on it? We have all the facilities for it to extend it. And we have all the systems now in position to start. As we are losing our lungs, with it we will lose the use of our digestion system. And when there is no voice, no moisture to go to keep the voice box moist, we will gradually lose it. It's better to start testing the transfer of information as an emotion, and we have the tools to measure it. They have the tools to confirm it. In the present time, we call it telepathy. There is no telepathy just because we have a television. This is a part of the plasma transformation of energy from one to another. We just seen a lot of ganses on the table, a lot of materials, what we call different things, on in different shape or forms. But the reality is, what is the next step? A large number of people have started testing these food systems. Governments are testing it in a very large scale. Government laboratories, international laboratories have taken up the challenge of the Keshe Foundation star formation the way we have seen with Jackie, with Ali and others. Soon you will see the way we start releasing the information on Thursday, how much governments are involved and the way they look at it, that we as civilians don't look. How they are using the new information technology that is literally destroying the whole financial structure which the present false governments are working on. We have seen with the use of Gans, hundreds and billions of control through Monsanto has gone to the wall. You put your seeds in the CO2 for half an hour, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Whatever has been gene modification goes to the bin. So all the control which was set up to control seeds that only certain people can produce certain food and then through it they can control everything is finished. You have to understand the work of Monsanto, how it was planned and how it works. They are controlling genes, they are controlling genes of original and they're converting it and they're changing it genetically. And then what happens when you planted the seed, you can have one harvest. After that, there is no harvest. That's why thousands and thousands of, tens of thousands of Indian farmers have committed suicide in past few years. Because Monsanto, before they had a seed, they borrowed the money, but the seed now has no harvest, in a way cannot be replanted. With this technology, you can plant as many years as you like. We're going back to the origin, but this time we see a change. Huge change. I have seen, even we see in the report with a lettuce, 55 gram, one lettuce, 145 gram with a CO2. 3 times larger size. And there is one thing very interesting. CO2 is a natural product. Has no side effects. So you can eat the product. As you are putting a Gans water of the CO2, not even the CO2 itself, is as good as you could ever get it. So the control is back in the hand of people. In the way, those of you who are farmers, we've seen, we heard from Mexico and the rest. We see from Kenya, Dr. Kota is back in Kenya within next week. And from there, through the structure, we see a number of governments have started testing Gans in a very, very positive way. Because now There is no need for pesticides. There is no need for fertilizers. There is no need for control. Indian farmers, you buy genetically modified seed, no problem, buy all of it. But the Keshe Foundation India teach them how to make a gas water of CO2. They can put a seed in the water for 5 minutes, 10 minutes and harvest and seed it. The harvest will be 3-4 times more, which the animals will have better food. The end products will be more, and they can harvest the same seed next year, the year after, and the year after. This is the first time, in so many ways, we disclose. The system of control is out of the hand of those who are trying to control the seed. If you are, take this part of teaching out and put it on every farming magazine. Send it to every farmer, send it to every government. The seed control, the genetic seed control, you have shown it, and we know a number of governments are working in the background on it, shows that years of pre-planning controlling the seed is over. One nation, one planet, one race. We are back into working as one. Teach as many as you can in agriculture. It only costs less than $1 to put into bed billions and billions of pre-planned, genetic controlled to control the humanity. On Thursday, we release a much more effective system technology that you will be shocked beyond. The world of medicine, the world of nuclear technology, the world of nuclear industry, we shall be buried on Thursday for good. Which means we are free. We are free to change the course. We've seen it with the food. We will show new releases, government research, which has been kept away from public, which is to the benefit of the public. We have kept the records, and we will show what it is on Thursday. Now you understand slowly how the pattern of the work of the Keshe Foundation is coming through. In the coming week, in the coming days, we will shut every Keshe Foundation, any website which is not within the framework of the Keshe Foundation. We have received authorization today. We have worked as one team, as one nation, and we will do that. We have received authorization for the conference, and we will apply for further conferences worldwide in teaching. Our teachers will cross across the world. They will start traveling and teaching. We teach across every nation. Manufacturing is on its way. At the same time, teaching has to be. Hopefully when Dr. Kota goes back to Kenya, and in conjunction with a number of other countries which we already work with different nationalities of it, will release and add to the knowledge. So what we said, the food, the agriculture from this week becomes one of the focal points of the Keshe Foundation, and will carry on through water decontamination, water dissemination. Radioactive dissemination is on the card. We release the knowledge on Thursday. You can, if any nuclear accident like Fukushima like what we had in Chernobyl, that any other nuclear bases, nuclear attacks, which has been one of the biggest threats used by the nations ever used, don't have any more fear. The Keshe Foundation technology is proven by the governments to be one of the most effective deterrents on any kind of nuclear contamination. But the interesting thing is for us is how it's being kept away, for what reason it's being kept away from public, that you have to come to us this way. Why? People like American citizens, knowing a number of nuclear power stations sitting on the fault line on the West Coast, which will be a bigger problem than tsunami and earthquake themselves for thousands of years, were not informed to protect themselves. On Thursday, we show you how it's done, how the governmental research has been done, and what data has come from it. All of you who have a huge problem with chemtrails, listen on Thursday. All of you who have a problem with man-made viruses to control, listen on Thursday. The report is staggering to one-sided towards Keshe Foundation. Staggeringly one-sided. We were going to take this as a gift to the Chinese government, but it's so important that it has to be known internationally, and hopefully we'll see the support from other nations. If you are a Japanese, if you are and listen and you have connection to the Japanese nation, the way we had through Yokoko and the others, huge Keshe Foundation support, inform them to listen to Thursday. There should be no more, no child, no one to die of nuclear radiation in Japan. What we saw in Ukraine through what happened in Chernobyl does not need to be repeated. Man-made viruses or already developed viruses are 100% under full control. Does not matter what they are. Ebola, E. coli, HIV, or anything else. Any viruses. And the strange thing is done research by the governments. We release the information on Thursday, but get as many people to listen on Thursday that we can for once finish with the fear of nuclear technology. Nuclear technology, if it happens, any accidents, it'll be as safe as what we get with a coal mine or anything else. I'm a nuclear physicist. I'm proud to be the developing part of the technology as a nuclear industry for years. I'm proud to be an Iranian nuclear physicist. But at the same time, I'm proud to be as an Iranian nuclear physicist who has found the solution for this. The solution is permanent, is effective, and is beyond belief. What we want to do, listen on Thursday. If you have, we know we have a lot of Japanese listeners. Listen on Thursday, start cleaning up. Start cleaning up your body from any contamination. Start cleaning up your homes from any contamination. And it only costs you less than $1 per household, if that. We have built up to this over 2 years. But we know World Health Organization has been blocking. For what reason, we do not know. Now it's in the hand of the public. We release it. And it will be released in an effective way. What we ask you to do on Thursday is very simple. Listen to what we have. We will deliver to you a report, what has been done, how it's been done, what has been used, the way it's been used, and we give you an eyewitness. Man who is being present in data control of all the tests. The data has been leaked out, and I have very bad news for a couple of prime ministers. If they can sustain to their position and their presidents after Thursday, it'll be a very, very good job. They've done a very good job. So understand what we are handling. You're dealing with a technology that gradually over time, past 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, has been and is getting proven by different governments to be 100% correct. But why these kind of technologies are kept away from the public, these kind of research and results, is for public to resort to do it and teach each other. I enjoy seeing the way you made the square, the, what do you call it, the star formations, the way you're testing for the food. We will deliver in a very direct way that if you develop, if you understand what is being taught on Thursday, most of you have done, most probably without knowing it, all genetically designed viruses. Ebola. We know Ebola has a patent. So it's man-made virus. It was proven by South Sierra Leone University that it was effectively destroyed within minutes and all their equipment was confiscated by the WHO. Now we ask you to produce these things and testing things on a massive scale. As one nation, one planet. Anything changes till Thursday, the information has been coded to be released worldwide. I have distributed the technology, the information, amongst a number of people that will release it on the internet immediately. A number of governments know what we are going to release on Thursday, and we expect with it a number of changes in governments. The understanding of the technology now has gone into the space level. This technology was built for a space and is so correct that this is why the reason we see so much radical changes in its commercialization and in teaching and its usage by the others as we see further and further more into it. What is important is what is done in the past is done. If it happens in the future, we have tools to protect ourselves. When it happens in the future, we have tools to protect ourselves. If it comes to be in that point, the technology is so correct that I tell you one thing, a lot of pharmaceutical companies have a lot to answer after Thursday because you don't need them. If you have shares in pharmaceutical, sell it tonight because on Thursday and next week on will worth cents. And the good thing is, it's not in my hand. It's done by government, not by the, what do you call it? Not by us to create problem. We're just releasing that. You got to understand something. The gentleman just now showed you a lot of work he's done. A lot of you come on this platform, we give you a total freedom to show and share your knowledge, even with the new teachers in the teaching courses. Now we release the research of governments. You play with pennies, they play with millions. And it's your right to have the millions. A number of the space agencies have achieved huge advances in space technology using the Keshe Foundation. No problem. They can keep, but in the next few weeks, we will see it'll be public, people traveling on their own system, the way you are feeding yourself, and then we'll see what is position sits where. But as of from now on, as we said, we go into the teaching of the space technology, and the space technology is for the benefit of us as mankind to help each other, that none of us need to die. Death is inevitable, but dying of the deliberate act, hunger by deliberate act, is over. And in a way, we've done it as the Keshe Foundation, as members of the humanity, as one nation, as one race, and as people who care for the earth, for the planet. So I advise you, if you have any shares in any of the pharmaceuticals, sell today. Sell today very, very fast. The process is in the hand of public. Now we spread it internationally because you have to have it. When an earthquake happens on a fault line in Los Angeles, leads to the destruction of another nuclear power station or leakage of power, nuclear power, the president doesn't give a toot. He's in Washington. Rothschilds don't care. Illuminatis have no fear. They invested somewhere else. But they'll be affected by it because it's you who is going to pay for it with your health, your children's health, and your landscape. They just move the assets somewhere else. Now you get the chance for the first time to do something with it, to change the course. We said before, we say it again, we put a hand forward to all these power plays in the world to come and join the Keshe Foundation, that we do something positive, not negative. But we are not touching their assets, we are touching the people who created the assets to be safe. If you have any investments in the seed control section, sell it very quickly. The energy system we have already touched, we already see, we start receiving huge, huge development in the power production, in the energy system development. The plasma technology you're creating, come on the table and teach us. Bring your ideas that the others can benefit the way you got your ideas from the others teaching. We need it, we go very public with it, and on Thursday we start seeing. In a way, we have made pre-setting for what is to come on Thursday, but on Thursday we'll tell you one thing. In one stroke, we can stop the death of tens of millions every year. I won't do it. We have already done it, we have already shown it. Now governmental research confirms it. But it's not in public. So when we ask you on Thursday, listen, and test it and bring it back on the table. We'll introduce 2 new products on Thursday. These 2 new products will save thousands and thousands of lives, millions of lives. If, as I said, chemtrails were your worries, let them pour as much as they like. If radioactive and contamination of the seas were your worries, let them pour more in, because now we tell you what the solution is and what it's been. If you remember, we asked a few weeks ago what the restriction of Japanese Prime Minister. We'll modify it and confirm it on Thursday. The same with it will go with others, because the information is so solid that it has to be responded. Why so many Japanese are living in such a horrendous condition, where the solution has been sitting using Keshe Foundation technology for 3 years. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. We don't look at political position. We are not involved in politics. We are involved in, as one nation, we try, because what is happening, for example, in Fukushima is affecting people in South America, in America, West Coast, in Canada, and the rest of us eating contaminated fish, highly radioactive. In a way, on Thursday, we give you the tool for you to do it yourself. Please ask anyone who is in the nuclear industry to listen. You have a big shock coming. Anybody who is in pharmaceutical, anybody is in genetic modification, anybody is involved what you call in whatever shape or form, you have a big shock coming in on this Thursday. And it's so easy. All of you know it, all of you done it, but we were waiting, the same as now people, how they feed each other, for what we call confirmation internally from the governmental labs. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Again, I remind the viewers in our Zoom chat that they can raise their hand, and we can promote you to a panelist, and then you can use your audio to ask a question. Is there anybody among the panelists who has a question at this point? Okay, here's a viewer that motion I'll promote. Motion, did you have a question for Mr. Keshe?
Yes. Can you hear me, Rick?
Yes, we can.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Rick. Yes, hi, Mr. Keshe. This is Mohsen from California. First of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year. Sal Notun Mubarak. It was Nowruz, everyone, and it was Persian New Year. So please, everyone, say Happy New Year to Mr. Keshe. It is a very ancient, a celebration of the spring for us, and it is very, very welcoming. Anyway, Mr. Keshe, I'd like to say سال نوتون مبارک باشه. انشالله که 100 سال به از این سالها باشه و سالی پر از موفقیت برای شما آرزو میکنم از صمیم قلبم. و البته بازم تشکر میکنم به خاطر همه عقاید انسان دوستانه شما. Anyway, Mr. Cash, I had a question about using Immersium 241. Since the last teaching, I've done a lot of research about the smoke detector in America, and quite honest, they're all over. It's just, every single smoke detector has Immersium 241. And is there any blueprint for using the properly using this product?
There is no blueprint because you've got to realize these things have been in the market and nobody ever uses it. It's like the way I said we all made nanomaterials millions of years and the Chinese do it every day. The Immersium 241 has been in the market for nearly 30 years now. Smoke detectors used it, extensively is used, but when you are a nuclear physicist and you understand the work, why and how, this was a shortcut in being able to produce such material that it could allow to creation of the plasma. You can do a lot of things with Immersium 241, but please do not handle it. If you handle Immersium 241 and in a way where it comes into interaction with the plasma, it has certain advantages and it has certain disadvantages. As you know, when I came back from Iran, because we were heavily involved in using only Immersium 241, we don't use anything else. You don't need anything else for creation of plasma. And it just comes off the, what do you call it, fire detection systems, not from nuclear reactors or whatever. In a plasma condition, this material, if it's used the wrong way and if it's used extensively by people who just don't realize what's happening at the time, what you get involved in it, like the way we get, you got to realize, for me, Iran is sacrosanct. I will not compromise my nation for no level, nothing. So our plan in 2008 was to take Iran into space unconditionally. It was, for us, important to be able to prove the property of the gravities and the lift. We worked 12, 16, 18 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. And in that process, I use heavily the 241. What does it do when it comes into plasma condition, opening of it? If you are very close to it, you handle it heavily the way I did. I have no problem handling nuclear material because I know the safety. But you can come to the position like me to get pancreas and liver cancer. It took me 2 years to reverse or block the cancer. It's not an easy job. Not many people walk away from suspected cancer of liver and pancreas. When you work with Gans, you don't have this problem. That's why we brought the Gans technology out. When you work with them, 241 or any other material which produces alpha radiation, you don't need beta. Beta and gamma is not needed. It's something which is a waste of time, waste of energy. So do not touch Immersium 241 unless you are, even with all the protection we took because of what target was to develop the Iran space technology spaceship program, which I'm proud to be part of it as a Iranian, which actually led to the peace agreement to what they call 5+1. A lot of people don't understand why 5+1 came in. It came from Iran's superiority in plasma technology. The only reason 5+1, and the Americans signed a separate agreement with Iran as the transfer of the plasma technology of Iran to United States scientists, was because of the development of the plasma in Iran. Iranian plasma technologies, especially on the nuclear and non-radioactive nuclear materials, is so advanced that you don't even have come to read in fairy tale stories. We are extremely advanced. Iranian plasma physicists, especially nuclear physicists, with the work, some of the work you're working on, you're doing is just still, you have to do because you're straight coming off the book. It's just what is a basic training. We're getting there all together. The work of the Iranian nuclear plasma technology is beyond the imagination of people. Centrifuge systems using plasma is not even thought by the West. Iranian scientists are in position. We negotiated a 5+1 on the strength of our nuclear plasma technology. Nothing else. We detected the terms, we achieved what we wanted, the others cried, yes, we did, we got. Iran nuclear plasma technology could have stopped the sanctions overnight. Sanctions are effective as long as they could barricade a bar. They could not do so. That was never effective. They could not ever create embargoes of things not going. They did the banking, but now we changed the banking system anyway. Creating plasma through 241 is extremely powerful, but extremely dangerous. Do not contemplate unless you understand. We understand as nuclear physicists. Don't forget, when they came to stop us from showing the lift in Belgium with a fake certification of whatever, as we saw the fake, what you call it, request to go to the police, as we said, as we released the paper, the only thing they found in my lab was 400 odd pieces of 241. They were laughing their head off how they were taken for a ride by their own people. They could not understand how you can achieve lift by using a small amount of 241. But you have to know how to use it. You have to understand what it does. You have to understand the 241 in a vacuum condition. You have to understand the interaction of alpha radiation in a free plasma rotation. You are much safer with the Gans and nanomaterial. Do not go in that territory, because if you are not a nuclear physicist and you do not know how to protect yourself, you can come to harm, because now you enter a radiation field that is beyond. You know, like Madame Curie, when she found whatever measurements, and she worked thoroughly with the radioactive materials. If you read the life of the first, what we call scientist, in all the countries, doesn't matter, Russia, United States, England, or China, or Japan, a lot of nuclear physicists have given their life. A lot of them have given their life in that position. I have to stop 1 second. Can you just come back 1 second?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Any comments on previous comments from Mr. Keshe?
Sorry about that. I had to accept the
Thank
telephone call. It was somebody I had to answer to. The position is that do not go near nuclear materials. Does not matter alpha or beta. The problem is two things. First of all, you're told that nuclear materials, especially alpha, can be stopped with aluminium. A thin sheet of aluminium can stop the radiation. It's correct, 100% correct. But what you're not told is that alpha radiation, the strength, in the field of the plasma, at the highest speed rotation, plays a different ball game. Even though it becomes part of the plasma, but in interaction with the plasma releases cosmic rays. This is not a knowledge which humanity knows. And if you do not understand it, do not touch it. Most of the cosmic rays we come across, we call it cosmic rays, or we call it the rays which we do not understand at a high level energy, which they can't step down to harmful radiation or plasmatic gravitational magnetic field packages, can come from interaction of free energy packages, we call it alpha, beta radiation or whatever radiation, in interaction with the plasma. This is an unknown knowledge by the scientific world at the moment. And these cosmic rays, what we call these high potential packages of energy, are different ball game. It's like walking into a plasma field much, much stronger than what our human body can attain or hold on to. So people like you who talk, what about 2 for 1, you can buy it, understand you're not playing with the fire, you're playing with what I call a nuclear bomb. It's horrendous. It is. If you don't understand it, we know how to control it. It took me years to develop a technology to control it. It is easy for the physicists to understand it, understand the work of the interaction of the radiation with the plasma. This is an unknown knowledge at the moment in the hand of the physicist. You show me, you with the Gans, you interacted as a plasma. But when you interact plasma technology with direct radiation, it's a different ballgame. It's totally different ballgame. I understood this in early 1980s, and it's something I developed very, very closely in understanding it. Because what did I explain to you? Go back into all the teaching. When we said we use alpha radiation to create a plasma inside a plasma of the hydrogen. All of you look for ionization and the rest of it. No, we looked for creation of the plasma to use the interaction of the alpha radiation or gamma radiation or beta gamma radiation, whatever you could develop in interaction with the plasma. This is a force which can and be used in a very dynamic way, but is more suitable for in the space, not into this, on this planet or within the structure of the Earth. Don't touch. Do you remember what the Mama said? Don't play with the fire. This is a very big fire. Even today, as I said, even disclosing it today, I taught this in Tehran to our nuclear physicists. Nobody could ever understand it. It's the first time we go public with it. The interaction of the alpha radiation with the plasma we create is where we look for huge, vast amount of energy in motion as a plasma. But it needs an understanding of it. And the Iranian nuclear physicists, plasma physicists understood and operate under it very heavily. We are years ahead of any present science in plasma technology. Years, decades. One NASA report says we are 70 years ahead of Americans in plasma technology. The beauty is that the knowledge of plasma, the way we create from the interaction of the fields, if it's done the right way with alpha radiation, you don't need beta and gamma. Gamma is a waste of time in the plasma technology, and beta is worse. But alpha radiation, especially in creation, in interaction with a plasma, which way you create it, it is a firework. It is a massive firework. Let me explain to you, understand the science. Why? Plasma itself is a high density, high level energy rotating entity. Now you shoot a matter strength bullet into it. Have you seen how the meteorites come in onto Earth? What light creates, what energy? Is the same thing. Now you put 400 of them in one container the way I used to do. It's a huge fireball again. Kilometers away, people could see the light. But you have to understand what you're doing, at what level you protect yourself. It's very simple. Your plasma becomes your ball. And then you continuously, randomly fire a packages of matter state, which we call alpha radiation, into this huge rotating plasma. The difference is so, the shooting at it is so much that the energy release is enormous. Enormous. Now let the Americans play the game. You're still 50 years, 100 years behind. The 241, I chose, the way I chose the copper plate and the zinc plate to create the Gans. It's years of research, and you were given and you haven't understood. You just, I use CO2. It's become so common you don't even understand what it means. Most of you just produce it, but you don't understand. So that's why you cannot develop it. You're not developing it. It's become monkey see, monkey does. Those who understand the process start developing. These are the scientists in research centers of the government, in the institutes, and the rest of it. Any other question? Do not play unless you know what you're playing at. And this is a very, very powerful tool. Very powerful tool. It's more lethal if you don't know how to use it than the Hiroshima one. Any other question?
Keshe?
Yes?
Hello, it's Michael from Germany.
Is who?
Michael from Germany.
Yes, Michael.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you very much. Same to you. That's the beginning of a spring. It's Happy New Year to all of us. The whole of Silk Road celebrates 21st of March or 20th of March. Just before we go any further, let me explain to you something which you all understand. At the moment, we say in the West that they start realizing the time and the hours or whatever. Thousands of years ago, the Iranian measured, the Persians, the whole of what we call the Persian, going back to the time of Zoroaster, measured the time of the rotation of the Earth and in coming to the position where it switches from winter to summer. And it was 365 days, so many hours and seconds and minutes and seconds. In the Persian, or what we call in the Eastern culture, we measure the second when Earth passes a point that the winter finishes and the Earth moves in the new position that the spring starts. That's why we call it the New Year, beginning of the spring. So it doesn't happen like the European at 12 o'clock, the thing is the New Year. Every year, 365 days, so many hours, so many minutes, so many seconds is added to the last time last position was achieved, and this is becoming the new cycle of waiting till we come back to the same point. So we measure a fall sometime in the middle of the night. This year was 8:30 in the morning, and it goes back by 6 or 12 hours according to the measure, which is the time is that we come back to. And this is what I said, very interesting to a scientist very recently. They hung the man of the church for saying the earth was round a few hundred years ago in Europe, where the Persians measured the rotation of the earth around the sun thousands of years ago. We are very advanced, and now plasma technology makes it worse. But the thing is, it's not the Persians, Indians. The Silk Road celebrates the beginning of spring. Alzars do, call it, what do you call it? All the Kazakhs do, Uzbeks do. Japanese celebrate the 1st of New Year, 21st of March. Most of the Eastern China, the Silk Road celebrates the beginning of the spring. So it's all of us, we celebrate it. Thank you, go ahead.
Yeah, and I really like your this rituals with the 7 things, the beat, the 7S. Yeah, it's a really nice ritual. Mr. Keshe, as far as I understood, is giving and receiving is some kind of natural law. I don't know. Well, yeah, it is. And so I think giving would improve. I wanted to know, maybe you can tell me, how can I become a better giver? You know what I mean?
I don't know, you gotta understand what you get back for giving better. Depends how do you know, maybe you're already a very good giver, but you don't know it because you'll be giving a lot. But it depends what you're expecting to give and how do you want to measure it. Once you start measuring a giving, you haven't given, so you put a measure to it. You understand?
Yes.
This is the philosophy of life. Once you put a measure, it says, how much do you love me? A lot. How much? 2 apples or 3 carrots? So when you start measuring it, you already lost the value of it.
So it's more about the attitude and the emotion behind it.
We can't hear you, it's a bad line.
But it's about the emotion and the attitude.
Rick, is there a problem here? What's the problem here?
Yeah, sounds like a bandwidth issue at his end. Perhaps if you just speak for a minute there, it might kick in properly, Michael. That's what happened when you started you could try it again.
Yeah, it also tells me actually. Yeah.
We have a problem.
Yeah, I'm afraid it seems to be a bandwidth issue coming from his end.
Any other question?
Anyone else in the panelists who would like to, let me see, we also have some other questions on our chat as
It's nearly 5 o'clock.
Is there anything else that you wanted to present, Mr. Keshe, as for part of today's teaching?
No, I think if you understand, we taught a lot. This teaching is not anymore making Ganses or whatever. It's to do with how we interact, how we produce things, and how we expect to see things happening. There's a lot of work going on in the background that will come into light in the coming months and weeks and days. But the, what do you call it? In a way, we are going is becoming very, very, very powerful. The work, the research is coming very powerful, and I do not extend in talking when we set things up till the results comes in. But there's a large amount of research which is going on, which are doing what we wanted. We freely gave the knowledge, and that has brought a lot of work for the foundation. In a way that what we see with the organizations around the world. How far we can open this, it all depends on all of us. But Thursday teaching is important to for every man, if he's in the job of saving their own lives or the others, to listen to. If there are no questions, we call it a day. It's 5 o'clock, and as usual, tomorrow I will not be in the private teachings as we are committed somewhere else. We have to see. If I finish early, I'll come back and participate in the teaching.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We understand you're quite busy in your life
There's a
these
lot
days.
of things happening for the foundation. There's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and Happy New Year.
Happy
Salı
New
şama mübarek.
Year. Thank you indeed. We'll see each other tomorrow or Thursday teaching. If I can break off from what I'm doing tomorrow, we will what do you call it? We participate in the private teachings tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. We look forward to the Knowledge Seekers workshop on Thursday.
Please get as many people, get the press, get anybody to listen, because every single one of any human being needs to know what is on the table and how much you can do for yourself. And it's not us anymore, it's the people who use the technology. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for today.
Happy New Year, Mr. Keshe, and thank you so much.
Thank you indeed. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, everybody get your thank yous in now while you can.
Thank you.
Great. And thank you, Mr. Keshe, from me as well, and everybody else in the universe, I think. Okay, that wraps it up for the 10th International Knowledge Seekers Workshop for March 22nd, 2016. And once again, as ever, thank you everybody for attending.